In this video, I will show you how to facilitate a lesson using the Desmos platform. I will give you some tips and tricks that you can use that will support you in both live facilitation and asynchronous facilitation. The lesson that I will model this off of is Unit 7 Quadratic Equations, Day 4. In a prior video, I showed you how to actually build a Desmos lesson, so this is focusing on just the execution within the Desmos lesson. So here is the lesson I already have built on Desmos, and this will be shared with you in the caption of the video. So when you're assigning the lesson to your class, you can click right here, assign to your classes, and you can click which class if you already have Google Classroom synced. If you don't already have Google Classroom synced, you can click Manage Classes, and then you can add a new class and connect with your Google email address. And this is great because it will sync to your classroom and update with students each time you use it. Okay, so let's go back to the lesson. So during the class period, I'll click on View Dashboard. Students will be able to click and access the lesson through Google Classroom. There's also a link that you can share with students. I have that link here. You can also click here, right here to get the link and copy it. Okay. Now, what I like to do, and you can see this already here, but I'll show you how to do that, is you could paste the lesson. So when the class is starting off, I only want students focused on the introductions. I'm going to paste from slides 1 through 3. When I paste the lesson, that means that students can only work on and see slides 1 through 3. Okay, and so during that time, students are working. I have this screen on my end, and I'm just going to go ahead and just leave comments and look at students' work. So the launch for this lesson asks students to figure out how many tickets were bought if they paid $62.50 for a set of tickets using this expression. So this student got it correct. They showed their work. I might just write nice job showing your work. Maybe I want to push them. Can you find how much 100 tickets would cost? Right? Just another question to get them thinking. Now they're working in another way, substituting in a value for t. Oops, sorry. And I would press, I would actually press send to them to send that feedback. Okay. I have a student here who didn't even start the warm-up yet. So I might say to them a question to get them thinking, to push them to get started. Can you think try setting up an equation using the information given in the problem to solve for how many tickets were bought? What would that equation look like? Type it into the workspace. And I'm just going to send that feedback. Now, another cool thing is I can see that the student hasn't read it yet. If I go here, it's green. It's still telling me the student hasn't read it. Once the student reads it, it will turn to gray. So then the other thing I'll just show you this feature is that on this, they are actually typing their work into the workspace. A student can do this, and you can actually track what they're doing and give them feedback. Nice start. Can you solve the equation by isolating y? Okay. So that's kind of how the feedback feature works and the pacing feature works. Now, what I would do next when we're going over the warm-up, I would open up the warm-up, share my screen to go over it. And there's a number of ways you do it. You might have a student's answer featured. You might have a couple of answers featured, and we'll talk about in another video how you can show multiple responses at once. Or you might just model it for the class if it's something that you saw a lot of kids struggling with. So one important thing when you are sharing your screen with the whole class that's helpful is to anonymize. So it just changes the name, so no one's name is called out. No one knows whose work is whose. So just to go over these features up here, summary gives you this screen where it just kind of shows you where each student is. This student was on slide 5, this one's on 3, and usually you would have a full class here. Teacher, it shows you the screen, and it might be helpful to see it here. And it shows you all of the responses at once that students gave. So it's a really nice screen to gather all of that information at once. And then student is just the student view for the actual question that's being asked that you can see. We'll talk about snapshots in another video where I'll talk about how to feature different students' work. Okay, and then you can stop the pacing, and then students can work at their own pace. This is good if you're doing an asynchronous activity because students can work through the whole thing. Another feature on here is to be able to pause. So if you're going over something and you want students to pause and just listen, you can click pause. No one's able to work, and they all have to kind of stop what they're doing and pay attention to what you're saying. Okay, and so Desmos is a really great platform because it allows you to collect student responses as they're working, see where they're at, give them feedback in the moment. And it's really helpful for those students who don't respond or speak in class on the Zoom because now you can see exactly what's happening and ask them those prompting questions. Unfortunately, Desmos does not allow students to respond to the feedback that you're giving them, but they can see it, and then you can even write. Sometimes I'll write like, chat me if you still have a question about this, or chat me your response, right? Like you can use this chat feature to just bring them back and to connect them back to you. Okay, so in summary, Desmos is a great resource, and we will have a follow-up video that will show you how to facilitate a discussion based on the explore portion of this lesson using the snapshot feature of Desmos.